Welcome to a long overdue AMA video. A few months back, I decided to start up an AMA channel on my Discord server, Plug, and I got some fairly interesting questions from some of the people, a couple fairly popular ones by the looks of it here, and I decided to finally get around to actually answering those questions. And I'm almost surprised that among those questions was not someone asking, what's the theme song for Raging Roblox Reviewer? Which I will now answer now, Beast and the Harlot by Avenged Sevenfold. You can stop asking now. Now that that's out of the way, I'll have some footage in the background of a game that you probably haven't seen on this channel in a pretty long time. But while you enjoy that footage back there, please enjoy the questionnaire. Suspiciously Helpful Starfish asks, will you ever do another Raging Roblox Reviewer video? Yes. I have two planned, I would say, in the works, but one of them has been in purgatory forever. But just as proof that it is a thing, work at a pizza place is the next planned review. I said I was going to do it within the year, I think a year or two ago, and then it didn't happen. Because I suck. Yeah. So, I've also got a little punishment lined up for me for that, in that I had said at one point that I'm never going to review Reason to Die Awakening. Unless I effectively get bribed $500 in donations to do it. And I broke $500 in donations. God fucking damn it. But there will be Work at a Pizza Place, Reason to Die Awakening, and I guess we'll see what happens from there. Other than that, I really don't know what the series will become after I do those two. I don't know if I'll end it there, I don't know if I'll try to keep going into the smaller series, but I'll just say this, YouTube is really not giving me the motivation these days. And you can probably tell why. Slend asks, speaking of Roblox, what would be your top 3 ultimate facepalm moments of Roblox in its recent times? If you aren't really sure, what about when you did go on it yourself? I still remember that whole ordeal with the price floor when they had minimum price on everything. That was fucking stupid. I don't know why they did that. And the reasons they give are bullshit. And don't work, because apparently they were trying to cut down on copiers or something. No, I think what you're gonna find happen instead is those things are just going to be copied more. Unless they have some special scripting for some place or another, like back in the day with Mike D and Paintball, that'd give you the special perks if you bought that one t-shirt and wore it in the game. Unless you have something special like that, that's just going to increase the number of people copying other people's stuff, because no one's going to pay that kind of thing when they could just copy it. So that's one. Another is when they got rid of tickets. I think people actually wanted me to do a video addressing that one, and I've never done it because I don't really think it needs a video. I think that whole ordeal just speaks for itself, if I'm being perfectly honest. And the third one, why did they think Anthro was a good idea? Are they trying to plummet this game into the depths of the uncanny valley here? What is going on? What even is this game anymore? Then again, apparently one of the best first-person shooters ever made is on Roblox. The Phantom Force game, something like that? I don't remember. Bet it has better hit registration than Rainbow Six Siege, though. Kowalski, Analysis, asks, what's your opinion on current Roblox as a whole? Well, it's seen better days and it's seen worse days. I'm not going to be one of those guys who says, oh, everything was better in my day, because that's really not true. There were things that were bad about those times, and there were things that were good about those times. It's a little bit of both. Just like any point in history, honestly. There's good things and there's bad things, but from a development standpoint, I'm gonna say on record right now, Roblox is the best it's ever been. From a development standpoint. If you're trying to make games, and bump my keyboard like an idiot, if you're trying to make games on Roblox, you're gonna be having a really good time with yourself, because the tools that we have in this day and age are so much better than what we had in 2008, 2010. Dynamic lighting is a thing. I remember trying to make a game all around that, which never really got finished because I couldn't really muster the willpower to finish the project. Because I couldn't muster up the willpower to play Roblox anymore, or anything like that. The community standpoint and the administrative standpoint, those have only ever gotten worse over time. Sure, the quality of the games on the front page is a little better than before, kind of. Because, I mean, I haven't really checked Roblox recently, but I think the days of having the top stuff being things like, can you survive, whatever, that actually sounds really exciting. Someone make that. But things like that, or surviving a tippy ship, whatever the fuck they want to do, eat or be eaten by this place. Basically all those things that I poked fun at in the more Roblox fun facts video back in the day as the first fact, I want to say? Maybe? But something like that. In that video, I just listed off a whole bunch of copy-paste places. I think the days of those being a thing are pretty much over. I think. Or at least, they're not as common as they used to be. People actually try to put effort into their places instead of just copying someone else's. No, wait, that still happens, doesn't it? Well, like I said, good things and bad things. At least, some of the places that are bad seem to be bad in their own creative way, instead of just a clone of some other concept, even though I'm sure there's a lot of conceptual clones out there, like still... Is the tycoon genre still a thing? Do people still make a lot of those? They might still make a lot of those, I hope they're at least... Well, that's pretty much it. Honestly, the community and administration have gone downhill, but development standpoint, you can make some really solid games on Roblox now. And in fact, I do have plans for possible places to make in the future. So, stay tuned for that. Willow asks, what goes into the making of a Raging Roblox Reviewer episode? This one is something I've honestly wanted to cover in a video for a pretty long time now. I feel like this point needs its own video if I'm gonna be talking about the making of a Raging Roblox Reviewer. If you guys are interested, let me know down in the comments, and I will definitely look into that if you guys are really interested. Maybe I'll do it for... I think I was actually planning to do it for Pizza Place Review, because I still have some of the outtake reels sitting on my hard drive. SSD drive. SS hard drive. But if you guys really want to see that, let me know, and I will get it started. But for the basics, that's pretty much the case of finding whatever place I want to review, then doing the preemptive thing where I talk about what I'm expecting or anything like that. Then I go into the place and actually review it. Well, I don't review it there. I don't do improv, because as you can tell by my ramblings here, improv is not always my thing. So I go into the place and look around and try to just record as much material as I need. And of all that material, maybe a fifth of it makes it into the final video, because I don't need every snippet of footage I have. I just pick whatever is relevant, comment over it, sometimes take notes when I see something interesting in the footage if I decide to go back and look at it later. But other than that, I just wander around and then improvise a little commentary. Like, sometimes I'll write a script, sometimes I'll just improvise the commentary as I go. Not live improvisation, because again, I'm not that good at it. Which is ironic, since I do a lot of Twitch streams these days. Hint, hint, wink, wink. But, yeah, that's pretty much the gist of that bit. And then after I get all the first narration done, and then the recording, and then the in-place narration, and then I go into the editing phase, and then I publish to YouTube. Oh yeah, and then I bug Patacaro about the title card at the beginning, which I haven't talked to him about for a while, because I keep on forgetting to make that video. Oops. Jacket asks, will there be any more Xiao vs. Twitch chat anytime soon? I wish. Kind of. And I know you wish too. But, unfortunately, Revlo, which is the service that we were using for Xiao vs. Twitch chat, got shut down ages ago, and as such, that means that the points and currency system that was set up with that is now gone with it. I still have the scores and points hidden around somewhere on my computer for in case I ever need them again. I want to transfer the points to another system. I think there was Foxy Vamp. I may look into that at some point, if it's still operational. But other than that, the only way I could really do Xiao vs. Twitch chat is if I were to use bits or cash donations, and with my small audience, I really don't think that's gonna be sustainable. Because not everyone can really afford to keep throwing money at me, which I perfectly understand, by the way. But I want people without money to be able to contribute all the same. So, until I can figure out something in that regard, it's probably not going to happen for a while, unfortunately. Peruweed Pie asks, kinda mundane, but what's your absolute favorite video game? Oh, favorite video game. I mean, when I was younger, I probably would have answered that with Need for Speed Most Wanted. That game has not aged very gracefully in some regards. It's still a good game. I still enjoyed playing it. I had a lot of fun playing it for the stream. But it's not really a flawless gem, unfortunately. Still, it remains one of my favorites. Team Fortress 2 is a game that I still adore to this day for everything it's done, but it just got kind of boring for me, and I didn't like the direction it was going, and I stopped playing it. Love the game for its concept and its characters and everything, but I genuinely miss my days of playing that. Other than that, favorite games I can think of off the top of my head. That will probably be pretty much all of the Half-Life series. Well, maybe Half-Life 2 more than Half-Life 1. The first Half-Life hasn't really aged very gracefully. I adore Roller Coaster Tycoon. That's one of my favorite games ever, 1, 2, and 3. So, by extension, Planet Coaster is an absolute joy for me. Looking at my Steam library, I can also say that Pay to the Heist was a good time for me. I have some serious feelings for Unreal Tournament 99, because that was my first-person shooter ever. Myst is another favorite of mine. Hitman, Blood Money. There's just too many games for me to list as favorites. Games that I absolutely adore, all-time favorites, that kind of thing. Just too damn many. To say that one game is my absolute favorite would be to discredit the other games and be a complete disservice to them. So, yeah. I can only list a bunch of games that I really liked. Fallout New Vegas, too. I like that one. And that's coming from a guy who doesn't really play RPGs that often. Carl asks, kinda mundane, but what's your absolute favorite musical artist? Huh, deja vu. As far as music goes, I always rattle off my holy trinity of rock, metal, and alternative. So, representing rock, we have things like the Beatles, Fleetwood Mac, Aerosmith, all that kind of stuff. If it was from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, even the 2000s maybe, I'll listen to it. Good old-fashioned rock and roll, that's my cup of tea. As for metal, I'll list off things like Disturbed, Avenged Sevenfold, Metallica's the gold standard for me, Motley Crue, that kind of thing. And for alternative, that would be artists like Green Day, All American Rejects, and a couple others that I'm trying to remember here, but having a little bit of a hard time with it. I think a song here or two are there everywhere, but that's pretty much my holy trinity. I grew up listening to a lot of Fleetwood Mac and the Beatles, so I especially have some soft feelings towards them, because most, if not all, their music is fantastic. As for Beatles stuff, probably my favorite albums would be things like Meet the Beatles, or With the Beatles if you're British. Let It Be, preferably the naked rendition where it was the original songs in their original forms. And Hard Day's Night. And as for Fleetwood Mac, I can only ever list The Dance, the live album, because it's just bliss all throughout. Pikachu64 asks, what's your favorite thing to do besides gaming? That's a loaded question, considering gaming tends to be my bread and butter, as it's been for almost all my life now. But I'm not gaming 24/7, and I'm not working 24/7, so things I do in the meantime would be things like watching movies, or studying up on my history, reading some of my books, like a couple of the Tom Clancy novels I've got, and other things I like to do is build with Legos. I adore Legos, and if you don't adore Legos, how's life without a childhood? But, yeah. Legos appeal to all ages. They are definitely not a kiddie toy. I don't know anyone who really calls Legos kiddie toys, and if they do, they can fuck off. But, yeah, that about sums it up. Ernism asks, are you I'm assuming that's supposed to spell Asian? And the answer to that question is, was, and always will be, no. Moving on. Xenophoenix asks, Pepsi or Coca-Cola? Coca-Cola. New Cheese Grater asks, favorite role-playing game of all time? Fallout New Vegas. Partially because it wins by default, because Cube World is another RPG I played, but it's not even finished yet. I have no idea when that'll happen, but hey, we'll find out. As for New Vegas, it's also one of the only games I've ever played, and even if I played the other Fallout games, I'd probably say New Vegas is my favorite anyway, because it has really good writing, good story, good characters. The gameplay is hit and miss, the gunplay is not that great, but it still manages to carry itself with the story alone, which is an impressive feat, all things considered. So, if you can get a good story, and you can get me invested, then I will definitely look fondly on your game. Dr. Spagooter asks, what is the weirdest thing you saw in real life? Probably has to go to a guy who would be on a bicycle, and he would park it up somewhere, take his shirt off, and do exercises, Pilates, whatever the hell he did, and he would do this just without a shirt on for all to see, for all the traffic passing by. Never understood what his deal was. Probably never will. But, there you go. Icebound asks, do your parents know you're gay? Just joking, I still love you. That is not a question, good sir. I am not gay, good sir. Have a nice day, good sir. Video asks, what was your favorite Raging Roblox reviewer episode to produce? There are a couple contenders for that one. I would say Survive the Disasters was one of my favorites because it was a lot of fun to do the raging bit, especially with the Frankenstein monster heads falling on me, and the plane crash and the rage that I had after that, and the barrage of trying to get away from the ridiculous obstacles after that, including the giant snowman, the giant abominable Frosty. Those are some of my favorite things, because some of the most fun I've ever had doing Raging Roblox Reviewer is when I'm getting really angry, because it is just so much fun to do. I'm a little better at doing that than I have any right to be, I think, but it's more fun than it has any right to be. It's really cathartic, too, and I can just be up here going, rah, 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 and my parents might come up here concerned or wondering what's going on, just to be like, rah, rah, rah. Oh, hello. I'm just acting, don't worry. It's all part of the act, as I would hope that a lot of people realize by now. And another one that was really fun to do was Welcome to the Town of Robloxia, because the entirety of roleplay mode was, again, more fun than it had any right to be. Because I think that's one of my favorite moments in any Raging Roblox Reviewer episode, honestly. Swift asks, who do you usually play with nowadays? Friends, fans sometimes. I have the Discord server going, plug, and if I ever want to get a game night going or anything like that, I'll usually head over there and ask anyone if they want to join, if they happen to have that game. And some of the people in the Discord server that I play with regularly, I talk to them regularly too, so. The beautiful friendships that have stemmed from the Discord server, plug, have been fantastic, and I highly encourage anyone to join. That was an even less subtle plug. Xenophoenix asks, which title sounds better, The Lone Wanderer or the Nerevarine? I'm gonna say The Lone Wanderer simply because I can actually pronounce it properly. Injatin asks, what do you usually eat and drink? My palate is not very exciting because I'm a notoriously picky eater. And it's apparently, from what I've heard in this video by Thoughty2, a bit of a condition. Because some people are just more sensitive to bitter flavor than others, and I guess I'm one of those people. So, I know eating nothing but burgers and pizza is not the greatest thing for my personal health, but I've just had such traumatizing experiences as a kid, and I'm so sensitive to those bitter flavors that it's really not easy for me. So, if you ever know a picky eater, don't hate them. Don't hate on them, because they usually can't really help it. It's not always their fault. So, there you go. A little something about me that you didn't know. But then again, that's what this AMA is for, isn't it? New Cheese Grater again asks, I wonder, for what reason do you not watch YouTube poops? Is it because of the stereotype you thought of, or is it because they simply don't click with you? I guess it's a little bit of both, because that kind of lol random or meme humor is really not my thing. I don't like meme humor at all, because memes have a shelf life, and they don't even have they usually don't have much context to them, or anything like that. You could say they have their flexibility. I would argue against that, honestly, because 5 years from now, that meme that was so funny before is gonna become dated and cringeworthy. Just ask my past self when I said "Hey you" during the review of Raging Roblox reviewer Survive the Disasters. Because Moonbase Alpha provides a realistic simulation of life on a natural satellite. Yeah, that part of the video did not age very gracefully, did it? Neither did that segment from Random Insanity 4, and those are still things that I regret to this day. So, that's just not my style of humor. I prefer something a little more developed, something more sophisticated, I guess, than that classic lol random 2006-2007 kind of humor that things like Laser Collection and As If Movie help to define and shape. Like, those are still funny. Or at least, kind of, to some degree, in their own right. They were funny for their time, but some of them have not really aged very gracefully. I prefer to try to go for a more timeless approach to humor, something that you don't need to know current events, or, again, I prefer to go that route. I know I don't always go that route, but it's what I prefer to do as far as my sense of humor goes. So, in that regard, YouTube poops just don't really click with me. It's not my style, and I prefer not to bring that style to the channel, aside from Random Insanity, which I know almost contradicts what I said. But again, at least it's not a case of relying entirely on meme humor, it's just trying to be its own thing. I know it still follows that whole lol random concept that was made popular at the time, but, well, that's just it. Those videos were popular and good for their time, but I don't think some of them have really aged very gracefully, except for Random Insanity 3, which I still hold in high regard to this day. Carl asks, when the fuck this gonna release? Right now, you ungrateful bastard! RS Racer P60 asks, your first video game? That would probably be Super Smash Bros. On the N64 when I was playing it at a schoolmate's house for their birthday. That is the first memory I have of any video game that I've ever played, at least. I think I played something before then, or at least watched something being played a few years before that, but that is the first memory that I really have of video games. That wraps up the AMA. If you have any other questions for me or anything like that, then you can hit me up on the Discord server, which is linked below, and I'll probably leave a link right here. And furthermore, I also do Twitch streams pretty much every Saturday, except the ones I don't, over at twitch.tv/XiaoXiaoMan92. So, I still do stuff, I'm still active, I'm just active in different places. This is probably the most active I've ever been, it's just that that activity has never really been on YouTube for reasons of, well, just look at it. Until then, thank you guys so much for sticking with me. I will do what I can to try to get as much out as I can. I'm not going to make any promises, but I will try. I will at least do my best to stick to the Saturday schedule for streaming every week. And other than that, that's about all I got for you. So, stick around, and thanks for sticking with me, and I'll see you next time.